The Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals is hereby called to order. This board was established pursuant to Section 519.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by the Anderson Township trustees to provide administrative relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Here.
Mr. Shekels?
Here.
Mr. Halpin?
Present.
Mr. Sion?
Here. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is audio and videotaped and may be carried live on television. First, I'll outline our procedures. Summary of the appeal is presented by the staff, then the appellant will present their case. The board members may then ask questions of the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify, one at a time, after being recognized by the chairman. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and or ask questions of the board after being recognized by the chairman. All persons wishing to testify, whether for or against appeal, may only do so after being sworn in. When testifying, each person must come forward to the podium, speak into the microphone, state their name, address, and any affiliation to the case. All persons testifying will be limited to 4 minutes unless a board member requests additional time. All testimony is given to the board only. No comments or questions are to be directed to the appellant or anyone else in the audience. The board will only hear new, non-repetitive evidence or questions. Should someone wish to support of previous testimony, they may do so following the testimony procedures and stating support of their previous testimony. Now, will all those persons who may give testimony this evening please stand? Raise your right hand. Swear or affirm, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
None from staff.
Any revisions to the meeting minutes from April 4th, 2024?
None.
None from staff.
None.
Get a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes and the agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Here.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye. With that, will staff please start us off with case 9-2024 BZA.
Thank you, board. So for case 9/2024 BZA, the applicant is Brian Tome, the land leaseholder of Lot 15 in the Hermitage Club. The location is 7150 Ragland Road. Again, Lot 15. The zoning is a single-family residence, and the request is a conditional use request to allow an addition to an accessory apartment. Accessory apartments are conditional uses per the Anderson Township zoning resolution in Article 5.4 L1. Or that's I1. Yep, got there. The applicant is proposing to construct a 23-foot by 15-foot 6-inch two-story addition to the existing attached garage with an additional 12-foot by 11-foot room to the existing accessory apartment above the new third bay. There's an existing 8-foot breezeway connecting the current single-family residence to that garage, and the proposed addition will include complementary elements to the existing structure. The property was developed as a single-family residential property within the Hermitage Club. The Hermitage Club is a corporation founded in 1920. They have over 244 acres of wooded land in Anderson Township, and there are 27 members that jointly own the property and lease 1-acre lots per leasehold and residence. There was a zoning certificate issued for the construction of a new home on Lot 15 in August of 2012. And in September of 2012, a variance was granted with Case 7/2012 to construct a free 25-foot by 25-foot by 25-foot freestanding garage in the side yard, where those are only permitted in the rear yard. The retaining wall in the rear yard was also approved in 2012, and in 2013, a zoning certificate was issued for the existing covered deck in the rear yard. In March of 2020, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted a 18-foot by 38-foot in-ground swimming pool through Case 5/2020 BZA, and it was surrounded by a 32-foot by 48-foot concrete deck and a 4-foot tall aluminum fence in the southeast side yard. In September 2020, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted the construction of a 26-foot by 10-inch by 29-foot, 7-inch accessory apartment above the existing garage. That was through case 17-2020 BZA. And there are no active zoning violations on file for the property. So here's an aerial map of the property. Since it's a lease, there aren't lot lines shown on the property map, so we have the aerial and the topography and absent the property map. But here's the topography for the area, and then photos from staff. And then the submittal by the applicant. For findings, the proposed use and development would comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution. There were not any adverse effects that were noted for public health, safety, and general welfare. The accessory apartment is approximately 250 feet from the nearest residence, and the proposed accessory apartment will respect the natural, scenic, and historic features of significant public interest as well. It is consistent with the adopted township plans as shown in staff summary. And for the findings, it was found in compliance for criteria M. The applicant indicated the accessory apartment in Breeze Bay will consist of materials that are similar to the existing residence. And then again, it would be consistent with the existing garage there as well. The applicant is not proposing to install signage, so it was found in compliance with PI. And it was in compliance as the proposed structure and breezeway again are consistent with the single-family use and the character of the property. And for why it was found in compliance, the proposed intensity of the accessory structure is appropriate with the size, location, and configuration of the tract. These are the standards to be considered. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions for staff?
None.
Will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come forward to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, and any affiliation to the case?
Brian Tome, 7150 Raglan Road, number 15. I'm the owner of the property.
Thank you. Do you wish to add anything to what staff has provided so far?
No, thank you. I found more about my property than I even knew, so thank you very much. I came for the education. No, that's great job. No, that's where I am.
Any questions from the board?
None for me.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Could you hear it sound okay out there in the audience?
I didn't think so.
Does it,
It's too low?
Hello?
Yeah.
you want to turn up the volume? Yep. I think it was too loud last time, so they may have over. Good.
Test, test, test.
Thank you for bearing with us.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye. With that, does anyone want to start us off with this case?
Okay. I see no reason why it shouldn't be granted.
I'll make it simple. I agree as well, especially with the letter from the Hermitage Club stating that they have already approved the changes to the property, so I don't see any issues with it.
And I don't see where it's encroaching on any surrounding properties, so makes sense.
Can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, in case 9-2024 BZA, I move that we grant the conditional, easy enough for you to say, conditional use request for this appeal. I would like to cite as evidence the letter dated March 13th from the Hermitage Club recommending approval. the drawing, the two sets of drawings, one dated 4/8/24 and another set of drawings 3/8/2024. I conditioned it that it be started within 1 year and completed within 2.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sine?
Aye. With that, staff, when will the documentation be ready for the appellant?
We'll be in touch next week. Yep.
With that, will staff please start with case 10-2024 BZA?
Thank you, Board. So for case 10, 2024, the applicant is Andrew Dodds of McGill Smith Punchin on behalf of Anderson Township Park District, the property owner. The location is 8523 and 8531 Forest Road. There's a collection of parcels that make up Veterans Park. The zoning is A2, single-family residence, and it's for a conditional use request for the expansion of the existing walking trails, as well as the parking lot, where a park is permitted as a conditional use per Article 5.4I-14 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The applicant is proposing an expansion of walking trails in the parking lot at Veterans Park. The applicant has stated the increased parking is to meet the current parking demand for the site. The expanded parking area provides additional 52 parking spaces, which would give a total parking spaces of 97 for the property. The proposed walking trail expansion consists of 1,100 linear feet and of 12-foot wide asphalt paths, as well as a 280-foot 6-foot wide concrete path as well. And then a portion of the existing gravel trails will be paved with the asphalt. The asphalt will also be repaved. For the history, there are 3 zoning certificates on file, one in 1996 for accessory structures, paved path, and a basketball court for the property. There was one in 1997 for a new memorial with an enclosed bell and flagpole, and then in 1997 for a freestanding sign. So here's the property in question. It's a little more faint than I had hoped, but it's outlined in red there. And here's the property map showing the collection of parcels that are in question, and then the topography map as well. And this is the submittal by the applicant. And photos from staff as well. Findings, the proposed use would comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution. There was no adverse effect that was noted by staff. The expanded parking area would not have that adverse effect for adjacent property owners, public health, safety, or general welfare of the public. The parking area would be located approximately 80 feet from the neighboring residential property. The parking lot expansion and site improvements would respect the natural, scenic, and historic features of significant public interest. There is existing vegetation that will be removed. However, the landscape plan that was submitted by the applicant does show sufficient shrubs and trees that will be put back in its place. And then it is staff found that it is consistent with adopted township plans as well. So for the specific criteria, it was found in compliance as the parking area is located approximately 80 feet from the neighboring residence, approximately 18 feet from Forest Road as well. And the parking area will match the setback from the roadway, which is currently existing. And it will also be screened appropriately from the neighboring residence. The applicant has stated that the construction efforts will be made to minimize potential nuisances to property owners, which would find it in compliance with L. It was found in compliance with OI as well, as the applicant stated that there will be perimeter landscaping around the parking area. There is no change in the signage proposed, so it'd be in compliance with PII or P3. There is no existing lighting planned with the application, so it'd be in compliance with S. And for criteria V, it was found in compliance. In the application, it was noted numerous ways that the public and neighborhood residents can get in contact with the park district. There is no expanded refuse collection being proposed, and Veterans Park is serviced by Rumpke for weekly removal of waste. So W would be in compliance. And for Y, it was also found in compliance as the proposed parking area is located on a flat portion of the site adjacent to the existing parking area. And these are the standards to be considered.
Any questions from the board for staff?
None.
None.
With that, we'll now, will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, your affiliation, and present your appeal.
Evening. Mike Smith, 8249 Clough Pike, Anderson Park District. Like staff said, this is part of our 2023 levy campaign, just a voter approved last year. Great project that expands the parking area at Veterans Park, which is well needed. A lot of times patrons have to park over at the school when multiple things are going on in the park, so this will just open up access to them as well. The paved loop trail provides access, handicap, ADA access, plus just gives access to the general public, but it also provides a new recreational use for the neighbors in the area by providing a paved loop trail that they can enjoy, and parents and spectators while their young ones are playing on the field, they can take a walk on the trail as well. So.
Any questions?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing on case 10/2024.
Can we get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Scion?
Thank you. Sorry. Aye. Can we, someone start us off?
I had a baseball game of a grandson out there, and I was seeing your stake markings, and I was thinking, surely they're not going to put a fence around this field. Okay, that said, I see no reason not to approve this.
I agree.
Same here.
Can we get a motion?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, in case 9-2024 BZA, I move that we grant the conditional use request.
No, it's 10.
Case 10.
Yes, corrected, 10-2024. I move that we grant the conditional use request. I would cite the staff report. I would cite the letter from MSP dated April 10th, 2024, and MSP has also submitted 2 sets of plans. Neither one of them have dates on them, so I would put the condition on that they be dated in substantial compliance with the plans as submitted.
Second.
Do we want to put any
Oh, well, yeah,
time
one,
frame?
start in 1, complete in 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Scion?
Aye. That will, staff, please start us with case 11-2024.
Sure. So this is for case 11/2024. The applicant is Cecilia Cook and Frank Schreier, the property owners of 1938 Wanninger Lane. The zoning is B, single-family residence, and this is for a variance request for a 26-foot by 21-foot garage addition with a proposed front yard setback of 28 feet where 35 feet is required. The applicant is proposing to build a garage addition in front of the existing garage with the front yard setback of 28 feet where 35 is required. This addition is being proposed, so single-level living is an option for the new owners. The new configuration would convert the garage into the laundry room, and then the new addition would be where the garage is located. And the addition would be constructed with a brick facade that would be consistent with the existing brick on the house. For the history, the house was built in 1950 and was purchased by the current property owners in October of 2023. And there is a single zoning certificate on file for a fence that was issued on February 14th of 2024. Here's an aerial of the map outlining where the property is on Wanninger. Property map and the topography as well, and the submittal by the applicant. Staff findings. Staff's of the opinion that the variance is not substantial. The proposed addition would encroach 7 feet into a 35-foot setback, which would align with a similar setback observed at 1986 Wanninger Lane. The new setback would still be considerable at 28 feet. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered. The design of the garage, it matches many other residences, front-facing garages, and it would also have a similar setback to the non-conforming property at 1986 Wanninger, and the facade will be built to match the existing style of the house and other houses in the neighborhood. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services, and the property owner's predicament may not be feasibly obviated through some other method other than a variance. According to the applicant, an addition in the rear yard would require extensive sewer and water work, and the building in the side yard would require extensive grading work to make these options plausible, which would be a considerable financial burden to the property owners. Staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed. While the addition would be encroaching on the 35-foot setback, the design complements the home and neighborhood, and the garage encroaches with the garage encroaches in the front yard, while the remaining elements of the home remain compliant. These are the standards to be considered, and staff did have recommended conditions that were not in they were not able to be put in the staff summary, but you have this on the screen for you as well.
Any questions of staff?
None.
None.
With that, will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, any affiliation, and present your appeal?
Cecilia Cook, 1938 Wanninger, owner.
Frank Schreier, 1938 Wanninger, owner.
Anything you wish to add?
The survey has been done. The property stakes are exposed and surveyed in the front of the property, so that has already been done. That's the only thing I would like to add.
And that I've had multiple knee surgeries, and I had knee replacement, and I have 4 TBIs, so my balance is off. My last injury in my brain was April of last year, and I'm still at work for that. So it would be for health reasons to bring the laundry up so I don't have to go up and down the stairs. That's it for me.
Any questions from the board?
None.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing on case 11-2-2024.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Will Secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Sheckles?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye. Who wishes to start us off on this one? Mr. Halpin?
I don't have any oppositions to it. Apparently, there are other homes in the neighborhood that have done the same thing, so since there's nobody objecting to it, I don't see a problem with having it done. And it's 7 feet is not that big a deal, in my opinion.
I had a little concern until I went and did a site visit and looked through the neighborhood, and I'm good with it.
I agree. With the size of the lot, that shouldn't be an issue.
Can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, let's see if I can get this one right. Case 11, 2024, BZA.
Oh, that's 12, isn't it? Oh, it's 11.
He is trying to offend me here tonight, son. I move we grant the variance request as I would cite the staff's report. I would cite the letter from the owners dated 4/6/2024. I would cite the 2 plan sheets that were dated 3/11/2024, and that the actual plan submitted be in substantial compliance, and the plan and the actual.
Staff would ask that you please refer to the conditions on the slide.
On the screen over here.
Oh, staff recommendations is, you know,
If you,
Conditions.
conditions, okay, conditions, okay. Let's see.
should be a shorter way of what you were saying.
Yes,
I didn't know you guys were doing this now.
But
So
just for this case,
Okay,
yes.
see, we just ignore you most of the time.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. Well, you say plans dated April 9th, and the plans are actually dated,
That's when we received them. So it's the receivable date.
okay, all right. I'll buy that.
Yep.
Those conditions.
And the appellant did mention the survey was already completed. Have you gotten?
If we would just receive that, then I think
Yep.
we can just ensure that it works. Yep.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye. And with that, staff will be in touch with the appellant with further information.
Thank you.
Move on to case number 12/2024.
Thank you, board. So the applicant is Brandon and Jessica Kristen, the property owners for 2025 Endo Valley Drive. The zoning is B CUP Single Family Residence Community Unit Plan. The variance is for a 4-foot tall privacy fence on the front and side yards of the corner lot, where a 4-foot 75% open fence is permitted per Article 5.2A9 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The proposed development is a variance request for a 4-foot tall privacy fence on the front and side yards. The applicant filled in an existing Kentucky board fence with vertical-like boards to create a 4-foot privacy fence. The applicant intends to stain the boards that were added to the Kentucky board fence to match the color of the existing fence and add landscaping to the front of it. History: the house was built in 1966, was purchased by the current property owners in 2016. The current applicant received a zoning certificate for a 4-foot Kentucky board fence in 2016. There is a stamp off for a patio / basketball hoop in 2021, and in March of 2024, the Planning and Zoning Department received a complaint regarding the existing 4-foot Kentucky board fence that had been filled in to create that 4-foot privacy fence in the front and side yard areas. So here's an aerial of the property in question, as well as a property map as well. And then here's the topography map for the property. Staff pictures. And the submittal from the applicant. For staff findings, staff is of the opinion that the variance could be substantial. The portion of the fence that runs along the rear yard of 8215 Ash Grove Drive could be permitted if the property owners of that property applied for the proposed fence. Additionally, a portion of the fence that runs along the property line shared with 8208 Clough Pike and 2009 Endo Valley would also be permitted. All other portions of the fence that face Ash Grove and Endo Valley are not compliant. The essential generic of the neighborhood has been altered with the installation of privacy boards. There are houses in the surrounding area that have fences, many different varieties, including privacy fences. The fences that are in front yards of neighboring properties are not privacy fences, and all observed fences appear to be compliant with Article 5.2A9. Additionally, the property is of high visibility as it's located on a main road that leads in and out of the neighborhood, further highlighting the inconsistency with the neighborhood as evidenced by the complaint received by staff. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The property owner's predicament could be feasibly obviated through some other method other than the variance. The property owner previously had a fence that was compliant with the 75% open requirement, and the property owner could propose having the rear yard lot line that is shared with 8215 Ash Grove as a 4-foot or even a 6-foot privacy fence, and have a privacy fence that is in the rear yard along the lot lines that abut 8208 Clough Pike and 2009 Endo Valley. All other portions of the fence could get landscaped and screened to create the privacy setting that would allow the property to remain in compliance and provide privacy as well. Staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would not be met by granting the variance. The zoning resolution does address corner lots clearly, as shown in illustration 5.1, and it indicates which portions of a property are considered front, side, and rear yard for corner lots. And additionally, it again spells out the fence regulations pretty clearly again at 5.2A9 as well. And then these are the standards to be considered. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions for staff?
None?
No.
Will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, any affiliation, and present your appeal?
Hi, my name's Jessica Kristen, and I live at 2025 Endo Valley Drive. First, I just want to say sorry. I didn't mean to upset anybody or cause any other neighbors problem. I'm sorry I didn't get a permit first. I just honestly didn't cross my mind because we had already gotten a permit for the previous fence, and it was so long ago I didn't know that it said it had to be open. So that's why we didn't get a permit first. We already had a permit for the fence. We weren't moving it or anything. We just added to it, so that's why I didn't get a permit. But so the reason we did the fence was because we were having issues with, we have 3 rental properties around us. The 2 that directly touch our property, we've been having problems with for 2 years now, like tearing up our tree. And then the main problem was the dogs. So one day, the dogs they've been in our garage. They've started fights with our dogs against our fence. So one day I was in the backyard grilling. My 2 nieces were jumping on the trampoline. My 2 sons were playing basketball. We were all outside. And I turned around and I saw the white dog, and he was up against the back of our house. He used to only go to the side. This time he came around. My dogs were outside. I turned around and I grabbed him and took him inside. I got in, he was covered in blood, and I said, that's it, we gotta fix the fence. So we had it filled in. So the fence was not meant for privacy purposes. It was more meant for safety. I feel if we were just to put landscaping, there could still be stuff through the fence. I wanted it solid. So, and I have to say, since we've done it, it has been wonderful. My kids are more relaxed, my dogs are more relaxed. It's just been great. So I understand the purpose of the variances. I understand all of that. But our house, it sits so far back from the street. I mean, from Endo Valley to the fence, it's 62 feet from the street. And from Ash Grove to the fence, it's 95 feet from the street. So it's not your average corner lot where we're gonna be like up against the sidewalk or blocking traffic or anything. So, and I understand that we're a very visible house, so that would be why you maybe wouldn't want to grant it. But I did drive through just a few neighborhoods and found other houses that had privacy fences in corner lots, so I feel like there are already houses out there. So if people want to use ours as an example, they're going to be able to find another house. Also, we were planning to stain the fence and put landscaping in front of it so it's not as noticeable and try and make it look nicer. So that's all I have.
Any questions from the board?
Have you had interaction as far as the dog is concerned with animal control or anyone else?
The dog has been taken to the Hamilton County shelter at least one time I know of, because I volunteer there and I saw it on the website and had to go tell them that their dog was at the shelter.
That's the question.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Please step forward, state your name, address, and any affiliation with the case.
Okay, certainly. My name is Rosemary Hain. I live with my husband Richard at 2040 Endo Valley. We have lived there since May of 1995. I have known Jessica's parents, the original owners of the property, since that time. Jessica babysat my children for a period of time. Both her parents, her mother Mimi and her father Gary, and Jessica and her husband have the most attractive lot, bar none, in our area, in the neighborhood. They maintain it. It's beautiful. I think you can see the pain she's been under. If you knew the history of how Jessica got to this point, that house has sometimes had 20 inhabitants that the rentor is not dealing with. They would put their blankets, sleep mats all over the front yard. They chopped down a tree practically that had been planted in honor of her grandmother. And it's been a long ride. But specific to this complaint, I know my background in public policy and public administration. That's my master's degree. I've worked for state and local government for 31 years. So I do understand rules and the need for them. I also understand variances and looking at where there's differences. I've participated in state hearings that went differently than I thought they would. So I do understand the difficult role that you face. We think of the variance, as you describe it, as negligible because, as Jessica has already pointed out, her house sits on the far side of a two-lot or an extra large lot. Nobody going around that corner is going to be impacted by, at that point in time, a 4-foot fence. Like I said, we've been dealing with an out-of-state rental with dogs that enter the yard and are aggressive. This has been documented on Facebook. It's been documented on Next Door Neighbor. I have friends across the township who call and say, Endo Valley, there's a dog running loose over there. We're tired of dealing with these dogs. But again, these are renters, and the owner of the property is out of state. When his grandmother died, he took over the property and has rented it since and not made great choices. I will say that one of the things that's mentioned here is 8215. That owner is present here and can speak to that side. We feel like, to be honest, we're a very close neighborhood. Rustic Hills is a neighborhood. It is not a community. It's not a suburb. It's not a developed area. Some of us been there since the day. Neighbors have been there that are in their 90s that were one of the original owners. They support Jessica. They could not be here tonight because of their physical condition. We say our essential character has been altered. We no longer trust a person in our neighborhood who moved in and worked with Jessica to mow yards where people weren't maintaining them and do things. And she has been in many ways a very good neighbor. But she moved into the neighborhood right away and put up an 8-foot privacy fence that people found a slap in the face. At least talk to us. Tell us why. We're good neighbors. We like people. And that has essentially changed the character. I will no longer trust my next-door neighbor at any point in time in the future. I have seen a young woman and her family put through way too much because one person complains. You should see the list of people who support this, and I wish more of them could have shown up tonight, but they were out of town or different things came up. We feel that this person is really in a glass house throwing stones. They have 3 fences in their backyard that I have to look at every day. A plastic fence, a metal fence, and a wooden fence to keep their dog safe, to keep their dog inside their yard. They would no longer have put up with this dog attacking their pets than Jessica should have to for hers. But once again, I see a very diligent homeowner who will do what is needed. It's not a high visibility corner for traffic. First of all, nobody can make that turn unless they were in UK because that's how they drive around that corner. And the essential character has been altered by one complaint, and the person never identified themselves to Jessica and talked directly to her first before they filed the complaint. And I think anybody in government, when I was an inspector for health in Florida, I asked people, did you talk to the person you're upset with? No. Why didn't you start with there? Why are you pulling in government resources to do this? Start there, and then we'll follow up. And that's what I think has offended so many people. Yeah, it has changed our character. People will not trust this person again. And we would like, my husband and I, for her to clean up her mess in her backyard that we stare at all the time, and that our friends comment on when they come to visit. And as far as, I noticed in here you had something about landscape fencing. That's already been tried and it failed. The dogs can push under that. It's not taut, it's not stable, it's not sturdy. So I really hope that you will look at this variance that has been requested differently. It looks like the decision has been made to not grant it, but I hope you will go back and take a look at it again, respectfully. I trust in the Anderson Township government. We all do, we pay our taxes here. And I hope you will look at that with different eyes. Thank you.
Questions? Questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure,
First,
didn't mean to walk
okay,
away.
that's okay. First off, no one that I know of has made a decision.
Oh, it was the way it was written, it sounded like it had already been made.
No one has
Okay.
made a decision that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
What happens in that situation, the staff makes a recommendation, ultimately it's the board's decision though.
The staff
Staff
will
makes
make a
the-
recommendation. We don't have to listen to it.
Okay, sorry, staff.
The rentals you referred to, are those short-term rentals?
They have been sometimes at least over a year, I think.
Are either of those on our short-term rental?
We don't have anything on our short-term rental, and then obviously with
In
long-term
either of those
rentals.
addresses that we're referencing?
None in that area.
Okay.
Which addresses are we talking about?
2009 Endo Valley is the one I'm referring to with the dogs.
Okay, that's 1
Just for clarification, by short-term rental, Mr. Shekels referring to Airbnb, VRBO?
Oh, no, these are long-term
Long-term,
rentals.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
That's what I was looking.
And there have been 2 rentals there, and both have been pretty disastrous.
And then as far as the fencing that you're talking about with the neighbor, is that 2040?
Go back.
I'm 2040, it would be next to me, which would be 2030.
There.
No, that's 20.
Parcel.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, which one?
2030?
I'm on 2040.
Okay, 2030.
I'm directly across from the T intersection there.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a good angle.
My laser printer doesn't work. My laser pointer doesn't work. All right, thank you.
And then as far as the fencing has already been altered and it's already there. Is
It's
that
there, correct.
So the variance request is basically to allow it to stay the way it is.
Correct.
So there's no other
Right.
additions or changes.
No, and we're actually fine with it as it is. I mean, when we first saw it, I said, that's not all that attractive, but I also know that neighbor, and without even talking to him, but I did follow up. I did do what I think a neighbor does. I went over and asked, what's the game plan, what's going on? And, you know, when I noticed, like I said, their landscaping's immaculate, so when I saw that, I thought, she's gonna have this looking better than it did with just a three-board fence. And I understand that's not your issue, but that was a primary driver for the person who complained, as
Okay.
spoken directly to me.
No other questions?
No.
Thank you. Step forward, state your name, address, any affiliation, and present your statement.
Hi, I'm Ashley Weber. I am at 8215 Ash Grove, so I'm actually mentioned in the notes. Yep, that one right there. So my side yard shares their backyard. And I'm here in support because, one, our area is probably impacted the most when you're looking at the fence itself. We like it. We have also had issues with those same dogs. I have 2 young children, and my children were afraid to be outside because the dogs would be coming through our backyard to get to the fence to bark at their dogs. And so by putting this up, that has now ended that issue, which now means my kids feel more comfortable going out into our backyard again. And that's helpful for us as a family to be able to spend time outside. In addition, as what was stated, this house has immaculate landscaping. The fence will continue with that, and it will make it look like still a very nice property. And Jessica has said she will stain the fence. She will make it look like it is all the same color. Even as it is now, my husband and I remarked it is still a very nice looking fence. And as Jessica mentioned, it is very far back from the road. It is not something that you come across as you're walking up and down the sidewalks. It's not something you necessarily notice as you're driving up and down the road. It sits back pretty far. On top of that, we have a neighbor on our other side who has a very large white privacy fence that is also facing Ash Grove. And so the fence that Jessica and her family put in aesthetically looks a lot better than that one. So if you're looking at the aesthetics of fences, which was the complaint, we could have a lot of talks about fences across Anderson Township, I imagine. So, to wrap up, I think the most important thing is that the neighborhood has become safer because of this type of fence. We don't know how long those dogs are going to live at that property, so luckily for us, Jessica took steps to ensure that those dogs are not in my yard or her yard, because now that those dogs can't see her dogs, they're not coming over to this side of the neighborhood, which has helped my family as well as her family. That's it.
Any questions from board?
Nope.
None?
The fence you're referring to with your neighbors for the poolway,
Correct.
okay. And is your yard fenced?
It is not, no.
It is not fenced?
Nope.
Okay.
And the dogs are on 2029? Is that?
The corner,
2009.
Yeah, okay.
that's all right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maureen Firestone. I live at 2102 Endo Valley. My husband and I drive past this property almost every day, either driving past it or walking past it. I myself have like 60-year history in this neighborhood. We moved to that neighborhood when I was 5, and I grew up there. I'm going to say a lot of the same things, but I think it's a beautiful fence. And in deference to the staff, I think that the neighbors, and you can see that there are numerous neighbors here in support. I don't think the complainant is here, which says something to me, but in deference to the staff, I think we're the better judge of whether it is altering the aesthetic, essential character of the neighborhood. We think the fence is beautiful. We agree the property is immaculately maintained and always looks beautiful, and I'm sure whatever landscaping they put up will be beautiful. The house sits well back from the sidewalks, so it's not obtrusive, and I don't necessarily understand why an open fence would be better than this closed fence, but I don't know what that rule's about and why we have it, but it's a beautiful fence. We totally support them keeping it, and we don't think that it is a negative impact to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Who's the complaint? What address is the complaint?
2030. Yes, 2030.
It was,
It's across the street.
Okay.
Mr. Halpin, it was an anonymous complaint to staff, so we don't have record of that. That's why
Ah.
it was not
Oh.
in.
But, so the neighborhood snoops have figured out that it was 2030. But
allegedly.
allegedly 2030. But looking at
Allegedly.
the makeup of the room here, I'm pretty sure that the complaint is not here. So I think that says something about the people who've come out to support Jessica.
And why are they complaining? Do you know?
It was an anonymous complaint.
That said what?
That's all we received.
That just said it's not in compliance?
There was, yeah, I believe I actually received the call. They just stated that there was a fence that was not compliant with the zoning resolution at that address, and then we went out and inspected and.
So can I ask a question of why an open fence is okay and a closed fence is not? Because it's not a tall fence, it's a regular height fence.
Yeah, so the regulation is a 4-foot high, 75% open is the only thing that is allowed in the front and side yard. Privacy, so that solid screen, is only allowed in a rear yard. Corner lots are tricky, so like when we're looking at the one on the other side of 8215, that white fence that was identified, that's technically their rear yard. So it is, corner lots are just tricky with where a rear yard is located, and
So I guess I was asking though, what is the reasoning behind a 75% open fence being okay and a closed fence not being okay? Like, I mean, I know that's the rule, but why did they make that rule?
It's a standard practice in the planning and zoning world. It's pretty much universal across
Okay.
communities across
Well,
Ohio.
I'll just say the closed fence is very attractive. If you've driven by it, it's a beautiful fence. And I don't really need to see into their backyard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And who damaged that tree that you have a picture of? Who damaged that tree?
Ma'am, if you could come to the podium, please.
You're still under oath. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the ones that damaged the fence, those were the previous renters. And I actually got a hold of the owner of the house and explained the situation. And he told them that they were not allowed to step foot on my property again. But, I mean, the damage was done at that point.
It didn't kill the tree, did it?
We don't know yet. It's splitting majorly. So actually one of our other neighbors down the street, who happens to be the one that planted the tree 20-something years ago, he worked with trees, so he like put some ropes in it and has been treating it, and we're trying to save it, but it is starting to split. But
Thank you.
so those people then moved on, and now there's new people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Joanne Van Vactor, and I live at 2086 Endo Valley, which is down the street. And I'm just here to lend my support to Jessica. Like Mrs. Firestone, I also have a 60-year relationship with the neighborhood. My husband's family built the house that we are in, and we bought it from them when they passed away. So I would just like to say that I think the fence does not affect the characteristic of the neighborhood at all. In fact, I think it enhances it. There's a beautiful property, and I agree with everything that Mrs. Firestone has said and the lady from Ash Grove said. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I am Alyssa Stickley. Wow, this is loud. I live directly across from Jessica at 2020 Endo Valley, so I'm staring right at the fence. And I just wanted to note that I have 4 kids, ages 5 years and younger, and I am still here. And I threw all my kids to my husband, and that is a mess right now, but I thought it was important to be here for a few reasons. One, just the look of the fence, I actually really like it. It was a comment that I made when it went up. I was like, that actually looks rustic. It looks trendy. So that's one point. But also, like, I will echo what everyone else said, that their yard is immaculate. And when I say that, I'm not just saying that. She's working on her yard constantly. So there's no doubt in my mind that if she's making these enhancements or saying she will make them, she will make them. I don't think they need them personally, but she will do that. The person who complained is the person who lives next door to me, and I know allegedly. But we recently, within the last month, chopped down a very healthy, beautiful tree in our backyard for her so that she was able to put in a fence because the tree, was in the way of this fence that she wanted to put in. It's the neighborly thing to do, right? And she made it very clear that she just thought it was unsightly, which there are better reasons, just because you complain about the look of something does not make it right. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm in full support of keeping the fence. Again, we stare right at it. We have a huge window that just looks directly at the front yard. It is so high up in the yard, you don't really even notice it because there's so much grass between the sidewalk and the fence. So I'll stop there.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing on 12/20/24.
Got a motion, do we have a second? Second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye. Somebody like to start us off with this case?
I'm okay with it.
Well, these are always extremely difficult cases because of the subtle side issues. But if we grant a variance, we grant a variance for perpetuity. In other words, as long as there's an Anderson Township, that variance stays no matter who owns the house, what color the fence is, or anything else. The fence is there. And I struggle with these a lot when we have these. And we get these periodically, it seems like once a year. The animal issue is an animal control issue. And I feel I have a lot of empathy for you there. But I am reluctant to change zoning for an animal control issue. And I would encourage you to keep pursuing that, okay? The zoning is set by the zoning department in Anderson Township, and they've been very clear about the 4 foot for as long as I've lived here. Goes back to, that goes back to 73. I believe in the 4 foot 75% right rule. So I am, my personal opinion here is not to grant the variance.
If I could, just 1 second. There is elements to the fence that are permitted, such as, again, as stated in staff report, I think it may have gotten convoluted a little bit, but staff, for the one that can't speak this today, for the portion that runs parallel with 8215 with their side lot line, that would be eligible to be, again, a privacy fence as they have stated, and then again down here as well, that would also be permitted.
Right. That all can stay.
That all, there's no issues with that.
Right,
Those portions.
It's the double.
It's the
double
portions
front
that
lot
face,
issue.
Ash
Yeah,
Grove
we've got a
and
double
Eldon
front-
Valley that are
We've got a
the
double front
portions.
lot.
Yeah, those are the portions that aren't compliant with
Right.
the zoning resolution.
Okay. I understand. Steve, what's your thoughts?
I tend not to have a problem with it. I feel like that it's not, I mean, it looks like a nice fence, 3-board. The gaps are filled in, it's still open on the bottom, which one thing I don't really understand is it seems to me that dog would be able to get underneath the fence if it really wanted to. And I would like to know why they didn't explore using the mesh.
Chain link.
Thing, or not chain link, but it's
Wire
chicken
mesh.
wire.
Chicken wire.
Just like the mesh that you put against the fence to keep the dogs out, but you still have the openness, and then keep the privacy fence along the back.
One big thing with dogs is their visual. They see something that they don't like, and that starts them off. So I could understand from that, the fence keeping it solid, you can't see through it.
It would be compliant.
Yeah. Now, we have granted these in other locations where the distance is dramatically different, you know. This is on the main road, you know, but I know in other cases we granted a solid fence where you basically can't even see it until you drive back the driveway, kind of deal. I believe a few years ago, we had one of those, yeah. But personally, and it is an attractive looking fence. I'm not saying it isn't attractive. This is forever, and the Township Zoning Department has been pretty emphatic about fencing in the front yard.
I would be okay with putting some sort of landscape cover around the illegal portions and staining it to be consistent.
And that could be conditioned as part of the approval if the board wanted to go that route.
Something to hide most of the things.
That wouldn't keep the dog out of the issue.
He's saying approve the fence as it is in its current state, and then
Yeah.
landscape it to hide that it's a privacy fence, I believe.
Yeah, but we've always had some issues with that as far as what landscaping are do we have the authority to pursue?
You can condition, I think you can condition as long as you are not specific about the, I think the only thing we've had issues with was the quantity. I think you can condition, if landscaping buffer, that's a screen, and that would be fine.
But we can't be specific to plantings of a particular nature. I know
Or
that,
species,
correct,
yes,
yeah,
correct.
right. Paul, what are your thoughts?
So looking at this again, we've had other issues where it's the corner lot's always been our challenge, the side yard. So I mean, looking from that corner over there, I mean, that's drawing up, that's kind of like it would extend back towards the other street there, that's backyard. So they've got to extend it a little bit in front on that side, which,
Yeah, so
had they not been on that side street over there, then it would have been just completely backyard.
Yeah, so their rear yard would start from there and go back. They are extremely limited on what is rear yard.
Right, and you can't move the fence because when I walked out there and looked at it, because of the basketball court,
Yeah.
you have to take the basketball court out to do it, to move the fence back to being compliant.
And essentially, there's, what, 2 trees in her yard on the side, or in front, whatever you want to call it, which would be next to the 8250, the house, I mean, so it's already hidden somewhere. So I think the issue is just that section off the house. That's what I think.
Well, I move that we approve it based on the plans that are presented and all that.
Did you
It'd be-
condition it with any landscaping or anything?
And condition it with the, well, they're saying they're gonna install 4-foot fencing, or 4-foot trees, landscaping 4-foot trees, but something that would help obscure it from street view. Other than that, that's my proposal.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
No.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye?
Mr. Sion?
Aye. With that, you are tentatively approved. Staff will be in touch with you for the next steps. You're welcome to stay, or you're... With that, will staff please start us with case number 13-2024 BZA?
Thank you. Board, case 13-2024, the applicant is Stephen and Jovi Self, the property owners of 7080 Hunley Road. The zoning is A2 single-family residence, and it is for a variance request to allow an existing 10-foot by 16-foot accessory structure with a height of 9 2.5 feet to be located in the side yard where accessory structures are only permitted in the rear yard per Article 5.2A7 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The applicant is requesting to keep a 10-foot by 16-foot accessory structure in the side yard that was installed by the previous owners. Based on aerial images staff was able to find, it was constructed sometime in 2022. The shed has a side yard setback of 5 feet from the east property line. The house was built in 1880 and was purchased by the current property owners in October of 2022. The address may be familiar as you guys approved the short-term rental in March for case 7/2024 for this property. And then here is an aerial of the map. And then we have a property map of the property, as well as the topography. And you can note in the northern portion of it, there is dramatic terrain changes. And then this is the submittal by the applicant. As well as pictures from staff. So for staff's finding, staff is of the opinion that variance would not be substantial as the property is well screened on the north, south, and east sides by thick tree cover. Single-family residence sits between the accessory structure, so it kind of guides as a screen itself from the properties to the west. And the rear yard also has a steep grade which prevents the accessory structure from being placed in the majority, if not the whole of the rear yard. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered. The accessory structure is well screened again by that thick line of trees and bushes in the front yard. And the property to the east is a vacant, mostly wooded area owned by the applicants, and the accessory structure is not visible from Hunley Road due to the existing vegetation. And the variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The property owner's predicament may not be feasibly obviated through some other method other than a variance. Again, the rear yard is a large challenge due to that steep, densely wooded slope. And staff's of the opinion the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed by granting the variance. Again, the steep, densely wooded rear yard makes it so it's not feasible to put it in the area that's permitted as of right. And the previous owners placed the structure as close to the rear yard as possible, just in front of where the steep grade begins. These are the standards to be considered, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions for staff?
None.
Will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak your name into the microphone, address, and any affiliation, and present your appeal.
Hello, Stephen Self, property owner at 7080 Hunley Road.
Jovi Self, property owner, 7080 Hunley Road.
Anything you wish to add?
No, just the fact that we didn't really have any control over it. We bought the home, it was already there. I think they did a great job putting it in the literally only fittable spot. So, yeah, we'd like to keep it there. It looks great. It's blocked by just about everything, so that's about it.
Any questions from the board?
None.
Do you own the lot next to you as well, 7082?
I do.
That area.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else speaking in favor of the appeal. Neither am I seeing anybody else speaking in opposition to the appeal.
I have one question for staff. We just say to allow. Is this a variance, or is it should it say a variance, or
It's a variance request.
Okay, that's why, because usually you'll have a variance, and that's why I was reading this as to allow. Okay.
It was 5 cases. Everything started blurring by the end.
Well, I wouldn't want John to call me out.
It was, for all I know, it's 7080 Endo Valley. I don't know. But yes, just to clarify,
Okay.
Yes,
It is a
it was
variance.
for a
So if I make
variance.
a motion, it'd be for a variance.
That is correct.
Not an
Yes, thank you.
allowance. An
Yes.
allowance is what you get in a contract.
That is correct.
Sounds like you're ready to make a motion. Mr.
Yeah,
Sheckles.
yeah. Mr. Chairman, in the case of 13-2024, I move we approve the variance and cite as evidence the staff report and the letter from the owners dated April 12th, 2024. No further action because it's in existence.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Mr. Sheckles.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Science.
Aye. With that, staff will be in touch with you on the next steps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Shaw? You notice the refusal.
Thank you.
You can frame that now.
You're not leaving yet. You've got.
I'm not, just giving this back to you.
Oh,
If
yes.
I walk off and throw them away.
Yes. Do you want your folder?
Nah, it's okay, I can find a new one.
You made such a big deal about the folders. It's labeled and everything.
If you see me at the corner of 5 Mile and Clough there with a cup in my hand, please put something in it.
Thank you.
It's gonna surprise us with a new color next month.
Yeah.
Is there a request for a specific color? All right.
And it's ready for your review.
Maybe it's easier for you to recycle them than me to go home
Recycle them.
and recycle them. Throw them in the corner of my office.
We're happy to provide that service for you. Just let me know when you're ready.
Now we got conditional use.
This is for Ragland, so
Oh,
yes.
okay,
Yep. This is for the accessory
If I
apartment.
could read, this job would be so much easier.
Well, we could use that $50 and reinvest.
Reading education.
I'm good.
Cool.
Good.
Go ahead. I'm good. Good. That's good to me.
I guess one question is, would it be better if it's a dated received on those dates? Would that be better for you? Like, legit
Yes.
question.
Yeah, because
If
it
that's-
didn't have a date on the plans, that's all.
If that's the reference
Yeah.
was to receive, then yeah.
Yeah,
Letters, how, do you have received, I guess would be a better. or
yeah,
received.
received.
Okay, just, yeah, if that makes it easier going forward.
Yeah,
Cool. And then we're good?
I can't, that's the last.
Can we get a motion?
I move that we approve 9-2024 as written.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Mr. Sheckles.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Science.
Aye.
Did you ask them what the use of that's gonna be, the apartment or the garage? Do we have
think it may have been stated in,
I don't think they would allow that.
I don't
there.
believe it's allowed as a, I think it has to be some sort of, I gotta look, I think it has to be a relative that uses it.
Yeah.
Um,
At the Hermitage.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
Hermitage, I
whatever.
don't think would allow a short-term.
Yeah,
rental.
I think it's a family member that uses it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think the additional accessory apartment was probably just because they're already going out anyways. This is my speculation, this is nothing they told me. but-
Topography, there's no other place they can put it except on top.
Yeah. And again, it was consistent with what had already been approved, so, let me just fix this.
Yeah, we approved that already.
So we're all good with that? Did we read it? Then I will fix this. Oh, I forgot I can't save because that's somewhere else. I will fix that later. Yep, all right. And now we're ready for the second review.
Good.
There's the park.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought sure that, when I was up there watching my grandson play baseball, I'm like, why are they gonna build a fence like this? Because how's all the survey states out there?
Yeah. I didn't realize how much property they really had around there. It's pretty substantial, which is impressive.
Good. Okay. Good.
Yep. Are those plans dated? Or
Yes, they should be. I have it as April 10th. Yep.
I move that we accept case 10/2024 as granted.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye.
Halpin Lawrence.
Oh, okay. Approve and journalize. Approve and journalize.
Write it on your back of your hand.
Oh, wait, isn't that,
You won't be doing your mail.
there is
There
a
you go.
decision at journal, approve and journalize.
Steve would be all over you. Who? The guy retired.
Haver? Steve
Yeah.
Haver.
Oh, yeah.
Retired, I don't think you retire from this job. You just walk out the building. I didn't see any 401k or defined benefit plans on signing it.
Compensated position. It's ready for your review when you're ready.
Okay. That's a nice looking addition they're putting on there when I started looking at it. The multiple roof rakes on it and the new entry door, they're really upping the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did look really nice. Talented like
Yep.
that. Alright, that one out of 5. we have a case folder just to confirm that it's the 9th? I think that one might be the 10th. It is the 10th.
Why did you pre-write the conditions on that?
So we had to run that by Gary. There was interest from adjoining neighbor that was represented by a lawyer. So just to be certain that it looked like something that would be approvable. If it did veer away, like if there was new testimony that would change the circumstances, we probably would have had Gary look at it before adopting it tonight. But yeah, so those were. Yeah, that's.
That's why I was like,
Since it was proofed by Gary.
What is this thing?
We're also trying to make it easier for you, That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, boy, they sure don't trust me.
Well, it was also just to make it easier for you to
No, now that you
say.
said the Gary word, I understand.
Well, it also makes it easier, so you can just be like, what's that? If that's what you're feeling.
No, I'm good. You can write that up from Gary. Put from Gary.
From Gary with love.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Are you, John?
Yep.
I
Make a
guess.
motion.
Move that we approve and journalize 11/20/24.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
The secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Now,
I'm
I've
with
got a
you.
procedural question on this last one, okay? I voted against it, okay?
Correct.
But if I approve the resolution, now, I'm just approving the resolution. I'm not approving that I agree with the resolution. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Because there's a different, I could still, my vote would still be not to do this, but I'm voting to approve the resolution, which was the result of the vote, which is 3-1, which means it passes.
Correct.
Correct,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. You can abstain if you are
No, no, I'll
so
approve it
passionately.
because the resolution
Yes.
passed, so.
Yeah.
Over.
Or you can.
Yeah, I was just curious from a procedural standpoint, if, you know.
It's a very valid question.
Hmm,
Yep.
Okay. I will vote to approve the resolution if it comes up.
Sure.
I'm still gonna vote against, I'm still voting against the original.
Approve and journalize.
Well, I'm not sure about journalization.
There are some spots for you to fill in for this one. As it was. Oh, wait, hold on. Cancel. We want to keep that one. And we're going to Endo Valley. We're closing out this guy. We're gonna open up the new one.
John and I are close to
I
bedtime.
know.
I am also getting very close to bed. All right, we got this one, and then so this one will probably it's going to be less procedural as it differed from staff's report. So
Because what,
most of the resolutions, most of the resolutions that are adopted typically mirror staff's reports, which is why we're able to provide them so quickly.
But
So,
this one, staff.
since this one was not in line with the staff summary, that you'll probably we'll need a little more of your input for the resolution.
okay, or I would say, is this something Gary should review?
No, it's not necessary. If it's, again, as long as it's in line with your reasoning,
One of us said no, is that what? Oh, okay.
Denial, if it's a denial.
Just curious, I didn't know if that was for real or you were just pulling my chain again.
Staff normally drafts them based off our staff summary.
No.
You deviated from the staff summary, so
It's not the
the
first time.
reasoning in the resolution,
Yeah.
you all need to come up with.
Does that make sense?
I tried.
That's up to these three guys.
Well,
I tried to
yes.
based off your conversation and your.
So this is an initial draft, but your input would be helpful.
Let's start us off then. Starting with one there.
Start with one.
Yes.
Well, it is substantial.
I'm gonna tell
I think you should be
Yeah, because
silent
they
on
voted
this.
that it's not.
I know, but, okay, so well, then why am I getting input?
You're not.
Emma.
Your chair members up there are.
You can give your input,
But
but
everybody's gonna ignore it. Okay.
but you can still vote to approve it if you'd like to.
Because it doesn't matter. I've already voted no once.
maybe want to mention something about two front yards, or however we termed it in the past. There's being on two street frontages, and you've got a unusual layout.
I think you want to say something to the effect of, because this is a double front yard situation, I'm not sure how to word this, they're granting it on the one front yard. What you're granting it on that street, wherever that is, you're not granting it on this.
You're granting it on Ash Grove and Indo Valley.
Okay, in the valley too, would be?
Mhm.
Okay. I thought you were just.
No, it's the whole thing.
Because it goes in front, so, do I have it still? I don't
No,
have it.
this is interesting, and it's a curiosity,
Mhm.
because the fence doesn't go to the front of the house. It goes about 6 to 8 feet to the side of the house, out that way. So it does
It would have to be even with the back of the house, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Like literally the back corner though, you have to go back into that way, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So due to being corner lot and the unusual.
We should never let people build on corner lots.
I fully agree. I think they're bad. We review a lot of corner lot problems.
Well, I think it's not necessarily the corner lots of today, it's the corner lots of the 70s and the 50s and the 80s where it's not the lots weren't necessarily designed with today's guidelines in mind. Is that a good start?
I would say,
I'd say due to
and the
being a corner
location
lot.
of the house. I wouldn't go so far as say unusual, I would just say, and the location of the house in relation to the lot.
Just the property owner has
The
a
property has a
limited rear yard.
The property owner has limited options.
Rear yard.
Why am I helping you guys like this?
Yeah, like limited rear yard.
Yeah, period. Okay.
We're off to a good start.
So in that case, what is the front yard? Is it the,
It-
it's in the
both of them.
valley,
It's
the
got
long
two
side,
of
It's,
right?
it's both. You have two front
You got
yards.
two of them.
It's,
It goes right to the corner.
And
Okay.
we have more, as she says, we have more corner lot issues.
So technically, this, on this plane, all the way forward is a front yard. And then this way, all the way forward is a front yard.
Okay.
So because this comes out, I mean, they can't come out past that privacy fence.
Right.
So they could do it from here back. They drew a line back, but all of this is a violation.
So just think of it as two front yards. On the, each corner is a front yard.
So 1,000 square feet of it is in violation?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is the basketball court?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can't move the fence because the yeah, they could, they take the basketball court out.
I am on, that's Wanninger.
You're on 12.
I'm practicing the name of the street. It was very
You got it
difficult.
wrong.
Yeah, it was bad, but we're here. Next one, essential character.
Two is good. Could not be.
Which one? This one?
Number 3, if it could be feasibly, obviated, but it can't be because of it being a corner lot and an existing basketball court.
Well, it still can be, but
It not feasibly, reasonably. I don't know if it's feasibly. I'm just spitballing right now.
well, again, in theory, there's still the option that staff laid out is still a very viable option that I think would have, again, okay, that's
I
fine.
don't
with me.
think that's.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
See, I don't think that ripping out the basketball court is a reasonable option,
I mean, that's fair, yeah. I mean, that's
you know.
And number 2, it would I heard testimonies from neighboring property owners, not properties.
Yeah.
Properties, I didn't see any physical properties coming to testify.
Well, you weren't watching very well then. Property owners, there we are.
Jeff will be proud of us tonight.
It's too bad these
He's
aren't
watching
live,
on
you
YouTube
know?
live.
Hey, Jeff, what do you think of this?
Just delete all this.
Existing basketball court on, the front, on the whatever street that is.
Just delete 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright.
The letter and substantial landscaping, it's not just landscaping, it's, what do I want to say? It's a solid landscaping, foliage. A landscape, shoot, we used that term before somewhere. Vegetative, shoot, where's Jeff on it?
Substantial landscaping screen.
Screening.
Landscaping screening,
Okay.
yes. Screening. To cover the fence area. It's just putting, screening would allow them to put 3 trees there and stop.
Yeah.
To cover the fence area.
Landscape screening. Yes, good call.
Indo Valley, and do we want to say the other, or just Indo Valley?
I think they already have mature trees.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're just
there's like
Indo
2
Valley.
trees on there.
I would also say that Indo Valley is more or less the major thoroughfare. Ashgrove is kind of an offshoot. So, I mean, that just another thing to consider.
Good.
See what a nice guy I am to help you with this.
What about
Fifty.
staining it?
I don't think.
It would be in conformance with the plans they submitted, as they stated they would stain it. Similarly with the landscaping, they stated they would. This is just, I guess,
I don't think we
concrete.
did, we've had that with painting before, we can't tell them to stain.
We can't, no, but I'm saying it kind of falls in line with their submittal anyway, so I don't
I
think
just
it's.
thought we couldn't tell them what color. I thought it'd say stain or paint.
Since they said they were gonna do it, I don't think it's necessary to address it.
If not,
And the neighbor
Honestly, I have a few
and the
projects
neighbor
around my
will-
house as well.
And the neighbor will release their dog on you.
My deck is in desperate need of a power wash and a stain, so
Like it.
I'll send you my address.
We get a motion?
I motion that we approve and journalize case 12/2024 BZA.
Ooh,
Motion, do we have a second?
second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Sheckles?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
You vote no, John.
Mr. Science?
Aye.
Last one.
Our last friend. That's not the only issues.
They were on a fairly remote lot, I thought.
Which one?
Hunley. And then receive. I think we are good. Stay. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
There's no conditions on this one, so.
There's one condition. Conformance with the plan submitted.
Was that on there? I didn't see it.
It's at the bottom. If we're ready to scroll, I can scroll down.
Oh, we're ready.
Okay. There's your condition.
John, you're the last one.
I move that we approve and journalize case 13/2024, BZA.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawrence?
Aye.
Mr. Sheckles?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Scion?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Adjourned.
Adjourn.